Guys from Yonkers Voice, thank you for watching. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And it's a pleasure to have Mayor Andre Wallace with us for taking the busy time off from your schedule and talk with us. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure's mine.
Thank you. Mayor, let's talk about Mount Vernon today.
Should I turn that off for the noise?
Yeah, please, yes.
How could you hear?
Give us a second. The mayor had to turn the AC off.
This way, I guess you can hear.
Yes, much better. Mayor, Mount Vernon today, compared to Mount Vernon 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, are we in a better place?
Absolutely.
Tell us.
Better place as far as financially. We've closed the books on the URA 2016, 2017, 2018. We're getting ready to do the audits and finish that up to get our Moody ratings back. We've been cleaning up our parks, our playgrounds, our parking lots. Many things have been happening. The grants moved forward. We were able to get new fire engines. We started Memorial Field. So the list just continues to go on and on and on. And the best thing about it is our reputation has been restored. So we're working on that as well. There's no more bickering, no more fighting. There's a calmness. Crime is down. So I think we're doing a good job. All right, in 4 weeks.
In 4 weeks, then we have done a lot in 4 weeks.
Absolutely.
So we interviewed you about a month and a half ago, and give or take. Back then we had some issues.
Yeah.
With the council. You yourself said somebody, or you were feeling that you were being sabotaged, or conspiracy. That is a story of the past.
That's a story of the past. That's a position that the council felt that they wanted to take with the former mayor. I disagreed with that position, and I never got angry. I never worried about it. I just let the courts handle it and went forward with doing what had to be done. And as you see, the courts sided with exactly what I said it was from the beginning. So am I upset about it and what happened? No, not really. You know, my focus is not on worrying about the past, but looking forward to the future and what we can do, rather than what we've done. So I have been speaking to the council. We work together. I work together closely with the controller as well. And it's about moving the city forward. I don't have time to get into arguments. I don't have time to dwell on the past. It's all about what we can do in the future and moving forward in Mount Vernon.
But we do learn things from the past in order to have a brighter future. What have you learned from the past that can guarantee Mount Vernon of a much brighter future? What have you learned?
Well, in the past, I just look at it in a sense of how to divert and deviate around a lot of the bickering and arguing, because nobody likes that. I don't like it. The public doesn't like it. I can't speak for the others because some of them I believe do like it, but I'm just not going to get involved with that. I'm not going to allow that to be a distraction. My focus is on what the people's needs are. I sit down with the people, and those are my bosses. The people are the ones who I work for, not the other politicians and not the other elected officials. So I'm going to take my directives and my orders from the regular people who actually employ me.
No, I hear that your bosses, as you said, the people of Mount Vernon, they come to visit you once in a while. You have an open day on Tuesdays or Thursdays?
Both days.
Both days, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
What, 3:45? What time is it?
Well, it was originally 5 to 7, but it has stretched out. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I don't leave here before 9:30, because people keep coming. And if they keep coming, I take them in and I keep speaking to them because I want to hear what they have to say. And if they took the time to come here to see me, I can make the time to listen to their concerns. And it is the best way to, I believe, run a city, because they are telling me what's wrong out there. So I don't have the eyes and ears to be everywhere. Neither does the commissioners and all of those who work for the city. But when the people come in and are able to address certain things and let us know, we're able to fix it immediately and get it done. So it's a partnership.
So on this partnership, and on when your bosses come to see you,
Yes.
what is the main concern that your bosses have told you? Mayor, you need to look at this and you look at that, need to look at that. And have you prioritized those needs for the people of Mount Vernon, and what are those priorities are?
Absolutely. A lot of things that they do want is smaller things. Fix my street light, fix the potholes, get the sidewalk done, cut the trees down, make our city beautiful. They come in with a lot of different, questions that they may have and concerns, and we answer those things. It's a wonderful thing to be able to sit down with my bosses and hear what they have to say. Because, for instance, last Thursday, I had a couple here that was talking about the street light that hasn't been fixed in 2 years in front of their house. And while we are talking, I'm texting to our traffic department, and by the time they left here and got home, they called me back, their street light was fixed. So it's a simple fix. I look at a lot of things that people are upset about, and I'm upset about as well, because I couldn't understand in the past why people cut trees down and leave the stump forever. So I have an initiative to go out and grind down every one of these stumps and fix it, because we don't want people tripping over them. So it's a lot of things, and as it takes form, I see that everybody's jumping on board. I took down the fence around the firehouse, and we're renovating some of the firehouses, fixing the outsides, working our way on the inside. And as we do these particular things, I see that the firefighters get involved, and they start to work on the firehouse and do a lot of things. So it's picking up. It's picking up because people can see the vision and what I see. Like I tell everybody, by the time I'm finished, you won't know where Bronxville ends and Mount Vernon begins. Neither will Pelham, because it's all going to look the same. And the people and the taxpayers that I work for deserve the best, because we are overtaxed and underserved. So it's about flipping that around and making sure that the people of Mount Vernon get the things that they pay for, and then going beyond that. As far as bringing in new businesses, we have plenty of businesses coming into town now. I'm happy. We have the Fleetwood Starbucks coming in with the drive-through, the hotel that we're working on. We have community gardens we're working on. We have Stag that just moved into Wilson Woods, bringing in 150 employees, and then there's several other businesses I'm working on now to headquarters here. So that all turns into jobs, and that's what it's about. You want to lower crime, and how we're doing it is that we're cleaning up the place and we're providing jobs and getting people off the street.
No, Mayor, you just said something that is going to pull me or take me to a different direction.
Yeah.
By the time you finish, all these things that you said cannot be finished in a month.
You're right. That's why I'm running.
There you go. So,
yes.
so you are running. Well, I
so
always knew. I asked a few months ago, I don't know if you remember, and your answer was Ben, Rue, whatever you want to call me. I am not sure yet.
Right, because I wanted to really do the work, see what it's all about, get everything done, and I've done that. I know at the time I was not sure what I want to do, but I'm sure now. So that's why I threw my hat in, and I am going to be running, for election on November 5th.
So guys, general election, November 5th. Mayor Andre Wallace is running. So he is the man for your, he represents your values. Don't forget, you need to come out and vote.
Absolutely.
Okay, lots of people talk, they talk and talk, but when the time comes for the decision, which means go and cast your vote, they don't.
See what I tell people too, what we were able to accomplish in 4 weeks, imagine what we can do in 4 years. It's not that difficult. In the past, it's just about vision. And if you have the vision and you can see where the city's supposed to be and where it's moving to, okay, and you can start to show people, because people are starting to see it, because I'm doing things that's allowing them to understand how things supposed to be rather than how they are. So as they buy into that and they understand, I'm looking, forward to, running a strong campaign and showing people that actions speak louder than words. In the past it was promises made, promises broken. I haven't made any promises I don't intend to keep. I promised everybody that I would close the books. I did. I promised everybody I'll move Memorial Field forward. I did. I promised everybody that we will work on getting 4th Street Playground redone. The money's there. We're getting ready to start. We're bidding those things. I promised people that we'll start fixing potholes. I did. So all the way down the list of everything I had said is coming into fruition. So I always say, you have other people who are running for office, and I just say, at the time, look at what each person has done and shown you. Don't believe what you hear, believe what you see.
So you are telling me that people should vote based on record.
Absolutely.
Not based on what promises are made. Look at the work.
Right, because mayors in the past has promised lots of things, but it hasn't been done, because I'm still asking why so many things in the city is not done. And it's not hard to do. It's just about rolling up your sleeves, getting out there and getting the work done. That's what I do. I look at it. I'm not a mayor that sits in the office all day here. I'm on the street. We're doing a whole lot of things. I'm out there putting up stickers and changing the parking from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So when things are not getting done, I don't have a problem with going out there and doing things myself and chipping in. So, and I get a lot of the other commissioners to do the same. So we're working hard, and you lead by example. And there is nothing that I would tell any of my commissioners or anybody that works under me to do that I'm not willing to do myself.
Fair enough. Now, last week I was at Memorial Field.
Yes.
Finally, something is happening.
Yes.
But there is questions about it, and I have a question from someone in my audience. This is the question. Memorial Field regulators penalize the city for not cleaning up the contamination.
Well, for the record, there is no contamination.
There is none.
There's not contamination.
But you yourself said there was a contamination.
No, I never said
in the past?
That. Never.
That the dirt was contaminated?
Never said
Never
that.
said
I
that.
always fought against it because I'm in construction. And I did a test back in 2015 to see for myself. And I published that. The same report that I wrote in 2015, you can get it on andrewallace.com and read it, download it. It's the same report back then that is telling you exactly what's happening today. So I was right back then with the report. It's no different. It's not contaminated. The problem is that we were in trouble for using Memorial Field as a legal dumping ground. That is the problem.
So the courts were wrong because the courts said that the bubble had to come down because it was contaminated dirt. Were they wrong? Because you
Absolutely.
and them cannot be correct.
I'll tell you this much, absolutely. And I'll tell you why.
Absolutely what? The court was wrong?
Of course, it's not contaminated. That is what the last administration tried to say.
Okay.
But it's not true. And I'll give you 2 reasons why. One, a board testing was taken on the corner of that tennis bubble to see. It came back negative. That's one. 2, I told them that it would come back negative, and it was anybody could figure it out. The tennis bubble and the tennis courts were there, and people were playing on it a year before the dumping ever happened. So how could the tennis center be there? The dumping happened a year after, but the dumping was under the tennis center. It's inaccurate. And there's pictures that show that people were playing tennis long before that stuff was dumped. So that was built already.
The new company, I don't remember the name, because I was there.
Tully.
Tully.
Yeah.
Didn't you say that they were going to replace the dirt? They were going to take the dirt and bring new dirt to the field?
No.
You didn't say that?
No, I did not. What I said is all of that is going to be removed. We're going to grade the track that's in there, and I'm going to plant some grass so that while the field is getting done, our seniors can utilize it to walk, and our kids and the Razorbacks can utilize it to play football at the same time.
No, your projection for the field to begin being used by the people of Mount Vernon.
6 weeks.
6 weeks,
Yeah.
not far from now.
No.
So in 6 weeks, you're going to be there, and I want to be there at the
Yeah.
opening, so I can beat you up on the track, on a race.
Oh,
I'm working on it. I am working on it.
You better train hard because I'm training too. I've been racing the 5th graders now in the different schools. You know, we've been tied and I'm having a good time. So they got me training hard. Some of the 5th graders, you can race the 5th graders. Watch out for the 7th graders. Those guys are fast. I don't know if I'm going to beat them. I don't run a 6-minute mile anymore. You know,
but you were pretty fit.
Yeah, yes, I'm pretty fit for over 50.
Yeah, that's it. 50?
Over 50. I'll be 53 on October 20th.
Are you serious? I thought you were like 45, something like that.
Oh,
well,
no. I'm seasoned.
Now, Mayor, talk about school that I can raise the 5th graders, and I'm going to take you on that. So let's move into overtime and school resource officers.
Yes.
Overtime.
Yes.
Do they have enough people? So you cracking on overtime.
Yes.
But that is a problem in the schools because you don't have enough resources.
Well,
so how can you reconcile?
Cracking down on overtime is different from giving overtime. So we're not cracking down on school resource officers. We're looking at that and we're looking how they can make it better. The overtime that we're cracking down on is abusive overtime. That's what we have suspended people for. That is what we're looking into. That's what we're investigating. There will be more suspensions. There will be more firings coming because there is a long-term of overtime abuse, and it's fraud, straight out fraud. There are people that are putting in overtime that are not even there. So that is a problem. And it's not in the last administration. This is going back in a practice way before the last administration.
Way of doing business in Mount Vernon, would you call it?
Right, it's a way of doing business, but that way of doing business used to be because I'm not allowing it anymore. And you know, other people are disappointed that I suspend a lot of people and I fire a lot of people. But they don't belong here because those bad apples are spoiling the whole bunch, and I'm not going to allow it to happen. And if I catch you stealing from the taxpayers, okay, you're not going to have a job. That's just it. Because we work too hard, and I say we because I'm a taxpayer as well, to spend our money and pay our bills and pay these taxes to get our services, okay? And I don't want our services and our money going out the back door, okay? That's a problem. And it's a problem for everybody. Everybody who ever came in and asked about streets not being paved, sidewalks not being fixed, lights not being fixed, all of these different things, traffic signs and all, and you're getting that reply that we don't have it in the budget or we don't have the money is because the money is going out the back door. So it's time to shut that door, and I have. And I will continue. And this is not only in the police department, this is all the way across the board because people in DPW and other places and they are getting suspended as well.
Now, Mayor, in the past, you and I spoke about the unaccounted loans that happened within the city of Mount Vernon, of course, before you became mayor. But now that you are mayor, it becomes your problem.
Right.
Okay, you have to deal with it. It sits on your lap.
Right.
What have you done? Because I know there is a few $1 million in loans that were given out, but are unaccounted for.
Right. Well, it's not accounted for. It's uncollected.
Well,
and the thing about it is maybe the prior administrations haven't collected, but I have people coming in now, and I am collecting because I've been calling on people. If you owe us money, we're going to get the money.
Well, those loans were before the last administration, were given out before the last administration.
Absolutely.
And those loans, that is people that did not pay the first loan and got the second and the third loan.
Right. And those people who have gotten loans from the IDA or URA, whatever it may be, with properties and all, we are calling them in. I've called several people in already and had these conversations, and they're willing to pay because they know they owe it, you know, and it's not a problem. It's all about understanding how to do business, and they know that the way we're doing business with them is different than the past. So we're not giving you free rides, especially not on the backs of the taxpayers.
Good enough. Now, people have asked me to ask you this question.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot for the city of Mount Vernon. As you mentioned, Starbucks coming in. There is a whole bunch of other business coming in.
Yeah.
The hotel and everything.
Yes.
incentives for new businesses to come in. But people from Mount Vernon are saying, what about those businesses that are already here and are struggling to stay here? Any incentives to those?
Absolutely. I met with the Merchant Association last week. I've been going around from business to business, seeing how we can help them strive, you know, and actually exceed in the business. My goal is to focus on these businesses because businesses, if they're successful, we're successful. So my goal is to make sure that every business is successful. The reason why we converted Fifth Avenue parking lot and renovated and did what we're doing is so that we can even have small businesses utilize that space to do flea markets, to do vegetable markets, do all of those different things on the weekends and be able to promote their business. So when we make the business strong, they intend to hire people in the community. So you want them to be successful. That means there's more jobs. So you want to pump it up. It's a win for everybody. It's a win for the taxpayers because most of our taxes, 88% of it is actually on the, gotten from the backs of the taxpayers, of the homeowners, actually. You know, so we need to increase business because only 12% of our budget is coming from those people in business. Wouldn't you want to increase it? And that's what we're working on. So if we can get that number up to about 37%, we could really, really, really relieve the homeowners because we don't want to keep going back to a homeowner asking them for money because the city needs it. Even though the city is always going to need money, we have to find different revenue streams to grow our city in different ways. Because, face it, each time we have unions, we have workers, mandated raises and things like that. So the cost of living is going to go up close to 2% every year. So we have to create different revenue streams to make sure we meet that money coming in. That is the purpose of me looking at different businesses to come here because they pay a higher utilization tax on property and everything else. So these are the things we have to look at. That's the way to make it. We're money earning Mount Vernon. I need to bring it in.
That's nice, but do you have any specifics, any program specifically that you can say, we implemented this program to help the small businesses in Mount Vernon that are struggling? Do you have anything, or it's something that it's on your plans to work on?
It's on the plans right now. We're working on different things through the IDA and through the state. I have a meeting again on Thursday, which is tomorrow, for the economic development plan that we have for the city of Mount Vernon with the state that we're bringing in to help small businesses to create advantages for them so that they can grow. Because that whole piece, Mount Vernon happens to have an overlay for that. So we need to make sure that they understand that. We need to make loans more accessible, and that's what the conversation is about as we work to help them with landscaping in front of their buildings and down our shopping corridor, Fourth Avenue, infrastructure, beautification, curb appeal. Those things we can help them with, even with the programs to help them put up new signage in front of their stores, and really work on shopping Mount Vernon. Because $396 million is spent outside of Mount Vernon each year. So, and that's from people in Mount Vernon. So the money is here.
People from here that spend outside?
Correct. And it's outside. That's close to that's like $400 million. The goal is if we can assist the business, bring these businesses in, grow our own economy, and keep that money here, even if we just do 25% of that, that's $100 million. Our budget is $111 million. So we can actually bring in that money, keep that spending here, and grow our economy. That is how we get out of what we've been doing for a long time.
Now, do you have any kind of a campaign going that would reach out investors?
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we just launched and finished up commercials that is going to attract the investors. We're doing literature to bring investors in, and we're reaching out to them reaching out to all of the different companies and having conversations with them, telling them that Mount Vernon is a wonderful place to invest. You know, we have 3 train stations. We're surrounded by 3 different highways. You got the Cross County, the Bronx River, the Hutch. We're right by 95, so it's not too far. You can walk to the Bronx and take the 2 train, or you can walk the other side, catch the 5 train. We're centrally located. And as I tell people, it's the best way to do business because we're the first stop outside of New York City.
So this is like prime real estate.
Absolutely. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that we build up the malls and the shopping centers and all. Because let me say this, if we had a mall and we had right by our trains and stuff, why would you go to White Plains Mall?
Correct.
Okay, when you can be 17 minutes from 125th Street and then the first stop.
I'm one of them.
That's right. So you can get off on the first stop and do your shopping. Why continue to go all the way up the tracks, right?
So guys, Mount Vernon is ready, and if you're ready to invest, this is the place to do it.
It is the place.
Centralized, you can reach any direction within minutes.
Right.
So this is it. You reach out to Mayor Andre Wallace, administration, maybe not him personally. So who should they reach out to?
They can reach out to the mayor's office, you know, or to the IDA and you know, set up a meeting, and we're always happy. But before they even reaching out, we're already on it because we're reaching out to everybody.
Yeah. If you don't get to the mountain gets to you.
That's
so
right.
each way, whatever way, the connection needs to be made. Doesn't matter who reaches who.
Absolutely.
As long as it's connected.
Absolutely.
Maybe, but crime is a problem.
Well, crime is down.
Well, I've been here that crime is down before your term, before you became mayor.
I know, crime is really down.
So, but it's not down because of it then. It's been going down,
No,
correct?
we have put in a few things in the police department that is changing it. Plus the zero tolerance policy that I implemented. So we are going after even the basic crimes, and it's not crimes, but the breaking the law, speeding in our town. We're not having it. U-turns, we're not having it. You know, running lights and all. It's not going to happen here. Littering, throwing things out the window, blasting it. It's not going to happen here. The problem I've said all along for years is that as we went through in the past, I would say, and I emphasize it on the past, things were acceptable. And I was telling everyone before that as things were acceptable, that we will continue to have it to be acceptable until we stop accepting it. So I'm not accepting it. So the same thing that you're doing in other communities, how you respect other communities, you're going to respect our community. And not only that, I tell that to everybody. And that's our initiative, and it's working because people see the seriousness of it. Even police officers that came to me, and I'm not going to mention who it is, and had a $100 ticket and said I had my plaque, but you parked in an illegal spot. So they asked me, what should I do with the ticket? I said, pay it.
You're not above the law, right?
No. And if I'm out there doing something wrong, you can ticket me too, and I will pay it.
Okay, it's fair. But now, what would you tell to the mother of the child who got killed last year, or the son, or the brother, whatever, that his murder has not been resolved? What about the unresolved murders in the city of Mount Vernon? What have we progressed on that field?
Right now, there are several cases that we have revisited. I've opened up, mothers came to me, and I would tell you three in particular that I know that are strong cases. So we're looking at those. We're opening a lot of cases and looking at a lot of different cases. There were a couple of them that when I had the conversation and I looked at some of the paperwork and files, those particular things didn't sit right with me, and there's something not right. So anything that I see that I feel is not correct, we have been reopening and taking a look at it and having internal affairs look into certain things in other offices and just review all the case to find out what can be done. And if a parent has lost their child, I get it. Until we catch those people, they will never have closure. And it's about bringing closure to these victims and their families. So it's a very, very I would say, touchy situation. And we are putting our hands on it, and we're going back, because I want to know.
Another touchy situation that a lot of people talk about it and feel, it's social injustice. Minorities in Mount Vernon feel like they not receive the support and the justice that the majority, the white majority in Mount Vernon receive. Like blacks are treated different by law enforcement. Have you looked into it? Do you feel there is something there, or this is what people say?
That's a national issue.
But Mount Vernon,
Mount Vernon is made up of 96 different nationalities. I was just in the school this morning for Hispanic Heritage Month that we're in, because myself, my father was born in Cuba, my mother's born in Jamaica. So I don't feel that in Mount Vernon, with the diversity that we have, that it's much discrimination at all here. If you want to say it at a national level, yes, at a national level, we still have a lot of work to do. You know, we have a president that spews out a lot of hatred messages that's just not good for the public, and I think we need to tone a lot of that down and focus on not separating people, but uniting people. We may all have our differences, but we can all live together peacefully, and I expect to create that utopia here in Mount Vernon, and we're doing it. And we're doing it by changing the way we do business in Mount Vernon and changing the way we perceive one another and how we really communicate and interact with each other. Like the whole concept of being here in City Hall, because I tell all my commissioners, we have to be correct in here for out there to be correct. If we can't do it inside, how do we expect to get it correct outside?
so fix your home first. Is that what
Fix
you're
your
telling me?
home first. And we have to work within our own house and get that in order. And like I tell people, when people interact with one another, when you leave that conversation, you should leave that person empowered, not disempowered. So it's about having those conversations that lift one another up and not tearing people down. We got enough of that already. There's no place for it, not in City Hall, not in our communities. All it does is it destroys people's character, it destroys people's self-esteem, and then you expect them to walk around with a smile. It doesn't work. And like I tell everybody, when our constituents come in and taxpayers come in and our bosses, I keep saying, come in, when they leave, they need to leave. When they come in with a problem, they need to leave with a solution. And if we don't have the solution at that time, we need to make sure we get it to them when we get it. But they should be leaving here, they should leave here all complete and whole and respected, okay? And that they felt that their concerns was listened to, and that we had respect for their concerns and validated, and that they're whole. And we should leave them empowered, that we are going to do something about their situation, and we are. And we make sure that we get it done. And whether it's we can or it's an outside issue, we need to contact that person and let them know.
The process.
Right, in communication. So communication is key, and I address that across City Hall, and I tell everybody, what comes out of your mouth gives you your life, and it can give others their life. You have the power through your words to either create or destroy. So we have to be very mindful of how we speak to one another and how we address one another, because you can either move them forward or take them back by what you say. And it's very easy to understand, even with children. The way you speak to the children and what they see is important. So you can't speak down to our children, you must raise them up, because that's how you bring them to where they need to be.
Now, Memorial Field Day and today the ceremony, I noticed on your program that you said that the controller would be there. she wasn't at either of those services. Some folks are saying that she's still not paying the bills. Is that true? Or is she paying the bills?
Well, some people will say that, but it's funny. When I take bills down to the controller, she pays the bills.
She pays the bills. So
She
there is
does.
nothing outstanding that has been done since you became mayor that she has not paid. Nothing at all.
Things that I've brought to her, there is nothing outstanding. She's paid those bills. Now I'm going back to what the last administration had and trying to clear up those things. Putting the proper paperwork together to submit the paperwork for what hasn't been done. But as you see, there's no complaints. Our garbage trucks are running. Our sanitation is up and running. Bills are being paid. Our accounts are open. We have toilet tissue. We have paper. We have all these different things. We have water. We have all of the different things that.
So you are happy?
I'm happy because, folks told me as we're going out there striping the lines, because we didn't have yellow lines in our street, if you haven't noticed, and crosswalks, okay? They said, okay, we don't have the machine to paint the yellow lines. I went down, I put the invoices together, we got the paperwork with the parking commissioner, put it together, went downstairs, and the controller was able to find the money and cut the check right there. So we then ran the check up to Connecticut and got the machine. You see lines are being painted. So we are getting things done. It's about putting all the paperwork together so that she understands it with the backup documentation. And if you sit down and explain it to her and give her the proper documentation, she's gonna take action and make it happen.
So your administration is a smooth, tuned-up machine. It's working, everything is working smooth. People of Mount Vernon are happy. You have an open communication channel with the people. Your boss comes here twice a week.
That's right, my boss is.
Boss is.
Yes.
So everybody's happy. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you are doing a good job for the city of Mount Vernon.
Thank you.
Now, Mayor, is there anything that perhaps I didn't ask that I should have asked, or something that you want to talk about it?
Well, I know that a lot of people are wondering about me running, so I wanted to make that clear that I am running November 5th. My number is 10B. There are a lot of myths out there that I am a Republican.
So what are you?
I'm a Democrat. I've always been a Democrat. And people are trying to portray things. They're putting out false information that I'm a Republican and that, there was a nasty letter that went around that I'm with the party of Trump. And that's not true. And
Do you ever find out who was the author of that letter? I saw the letter.
Absolutely.
So who was it?
The people that's running against me. So
Can you name it or no?
I'll just leave it at that. The people,
They know who they are, right?
They know who they are. They know what they did, and it was clever. I'm not gonna say anything about it, but what they did is more. It's more. What's the word? Voter intimidation is the word. Voter intimidation, because they scared people into believing that I'm with the party of Trump. In the letter it says I'm tied to the KKK.
You?
Yes, I'm tied to the KKK. I don't understand.
You working undercover, or are you the?
I'm working undercover. I'm here to take away women's rights. Meanwhile, most of my staff is all women, which I work hard to empower and make sure that their rights is equally taken care of and attended to as all the men. So the pay is going to be equal as well, and all the rights are going to be equal. So all of the things that they put in there is bogus. And myself, I've been a lifelong Democrat. Parents have been Democrats. Most people need to see that they can always go to the Board of Elections and pull my registration. I'm a Democrat. I'm a district leader for the city of Mount Vernon, District 20 for the longest, and I belong to the Democratic Party. And they're pinning me as a Republican because the Republican allowed me to run on their line for November. So they have pretty much found out that I was the best candidate. They voted for this. And don't get it wrong, because there's judges that's on the ticket now that are on both Democrat and Republican line. And just remember, when I went and we interviewed, Sean Patterson Howard interviewed for the same line. She lost to me. So did Mayor Richard Thomas at the time. He lost to me as well. I got 81% of their votes saying that I'm the best Democratic candidate to run. So this is a whole scary thing that they're trying to portray. But this has always been done. It's just called what people need to understand, a Wilson Pacou, because that's allowing me to run on a different line so that I can appear in November. And that's what they're trying to portray. People are thinking that I'm a Republican. I'm not. Also, you don't have to change your party to vote for me, because they have people thinking that you have to change and become a Republican to vote for me in November. That is not true. When November comes, you are able to vote for whoever you want, no matter what's your party or what's your affiliation. And I tell people, vote the party. No, sorry, don't vote the party, vote the person. And don't always go by what the party say to vote, because the party is about the party. They have their philosophy, they have their certain thing, and I will always be a Democrat. However, there are things that I see that I don't believe in, okay? And I tell everybody, over the last 20 years, this has been 25 years, this has been a Democratic community, okay? We cannot blame Trump or the Republicans or anybody for the condition that we're in, because they had zero to do with it. We have been run by Democrats the whole entire time. It's time to change up the vision of what we really want. We need to start to look at things and say, hey, it's got to be people before politics, not the other way around. And that's how we get into this mess, because we vote based on this person I went to school with, this person I like, this is my friend, this is Auntie Bebe and Bobo and all of this kind of stuff, rather than voting on what needs to be done for the job. Who is the best person for the job? Because that is what's going to affect your life. That is what's going to make the difference. And if you continue to vote like that, you'll continue to have the chaos. And I tell people right now, if you like what you see is happening in our city now, then you would vote for me to keep me in place to continue to make sure that the things are heading in the right direction and continue that way, and to continue to create more jobs and business and stuff. And it's proven, okay? I'm not here to tell you otherwise. So when I look at the whole situation, I say you have politicians that promise you everything and given you nothing. You have a businessman that's promised you nothing but has given you everything, because you deserve it, and the taxpayers deserve it. It's something that we need to do to make sure our city moves forward. It's not about the few, it's about everybody. And like I tell people, as the mayor right now, okay, I'm not Republican, Democrat, or anything else. I'm for Mount Vernon.
For the people of
Mount Vernon first, and the people first. Everything else runs a distant second.
Okay. Now, Mayor, if you had an opportunity to speak with those that are misleading the people and putting out wrong information and trying to get votes through trick-or-treat.
Right.
How would you
Politics.
Politics.
Yes, is the word.
What would you tell them?
I would tell them to be honest, tell the truth, but I notice in politics, there is no truth. Their truth doesn't exist. It's about the false pretense and narrative that they put out is their truth. So for other voters, I always say you have to get yourself educated. You have to really look at what exactly is happening in the community. You have to look at what has been done, and don't believe everything you hear. Investigate it. Investigate it, take a look at it itself. Because people will tell you anything, and a lie unchallenged will become the truth. We know that. So I've been here fighting and explaining to people as far as and as long as I can go back before I became a councilman. and before I became council president, before I became the mayor. And I've been saying the same thing, you know. But what I do have to tell the people that are out there that are looking and saying, hey, I want to cast my vote, or it's a simple saying, you know, you say the same things, you have the same life. You say different things, you have a different life. It's the conversation that we've been keeping that we must be able to change and have different conversations, not just because they tell you what is so. The conversation needs to come from each one of us on what we're feeling and what we see and what's happening and the change that's happening in your life. Not because the party says so or because this one says so. Okay? You do it because it's right. And that's how I operate.
Well, guys, it's all the time that we have. So I need to make a disclaimer here. We at Yonkers Voice do not endorse and we do not oppose any candidate. The only reason we're here is to inform you so you can make the right decision. Don't vote based on party line, vote based on record. Check the people that are running and see what they have done. Remember, anyone can promise you anything they want to promise you. Delivering that promises is a whole different ballgame.
Actions speak louder than words.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.